Hello there, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to Rob. Hi. How are you?
All right, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the podcast this morning. So, Rob, shall we just get straight into it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Rob from the Derby Runner.
Yeah.
First of all, before we get into that bit, tell me a little bit about you. Who is Rob?
So I always forget how old I am. I think am I 45, 46? I live in Darley Abbey with my partner Elaine and our daughter Carnan, who's 16, and our little dog Bagheera.
Oh.
I grew up in Derby.
Yeah.
In a village called Thulston, which is near Alveston Castle.
Yeah.
Went to Alveston Junior School, and then through various events ended up going to John Port School. Stayed there, did my A-levels, went to Sheffield Hallam Uni.
Oh, wow. What did you study at uni?
Sport and exercise science.
Ah.
More specific, I think that's what it would be called now, but more specifically it was sports physiology and biomechanics.
Right, fantastic.
Yeah. And then came back to Derby through the ties of the Derby Runner, which I'll probably go into in a bit.
Right.
And have been in Derby ever since.
Ever since.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great place. So you've just mentioned the Derby Runner. Let's get into that then. So you are the owner of the Derby Runner with your partner, Elaine. So tell us a little bit about the journey then that led you to get involved with Derby Runner and eventually own the place.
Yeah, so the story sort of starts when I started working part-time there. So
Right.
like we've got young athletes now who want a Saturday job.
Yeah.
Well, I was one of those types. So that was in 1999
So what?
when I was doing my A-levels.
Right, okay.
So I was running for Derby Athletics Club, keen runner. It was like an ideal job really, because my dad would take me there anyway and get my shoes and my track and spikes and cross-country spikes and things. So I just asked if there was any jobs going, ended up working there, and continued working part-time throughout doing my degree.
Yeah.
Even though I was at Sheffield, it wasn't too much of a stretch to come back on the train or whatnot when they needed me.
Yeah.
And then throughout the 3 years I was at uni, I started getting really into, like, I was already into my running, but wondering where it could take me, because I was at a relatively high level.
Right.
I was no superstar, but you just, when you're young and things are going well, you think, well, where could this take me?
Yeah.
And after my degree, decided with the help of my parents I'd have a year out and just see where the running could take me. It was quite a good timing, because I think when I graduated there was no major championships coming up, so it wasn't like an Olympic year.
Right.
Or a World Championship year. I think the biggest chance was going to be the Commonwealth Games, which is big, but it means you've got more of a chance because it's split into England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales. So I had a very small chance of making the England team if I'd got everything right. So I decided I'd pretty much train full time, and the owner at the time of the Derby Runner was happy to give me a few more hours, and so that kept my mum and dad happy, and said, so I'm going to do something.
Yeah, you were earning a bit of money.
Yeah. I suppose, long story short, that plan didn't really work out, but the shop did. So the shop got busier and busier. We just had to hit it right. So from early 2000 through to when I first bought into it in 2005, the shop, probably because of the owner taking more staff on, including myself and another couple of guys,
Right.
just seemed to expand very quickly.
Wow.
And so I found myself working full time and beyond. The running just sort of plateaued. I was still competing, but not at that aspirational level anymore.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where you just feel like, well, I can't carry on giving it this much effort and not being involved on a slightly higher level. And it was only a very small business then.
Right.
Ended up approaching the owner and saying, is there any chance I could buy in a little bit? You know, I certainly didn't have the money to buy it, but I had enough money saved up from not really doing much other than running.
So what sort of age would you have been when you started thinking, oh, I want to be a bit more involved in this rather than just working here?
So probably when Elaine and I first got together properly, which was around 2003.
Okay.
So we were sort of a combined force then.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, so in that time, it was, I lived with Elaine and Elaine's son Gabe, and we were thinking, well, you know, really, she was a very busy hairdresser.
Yeah.
and the shop was busy, and it was supporting us okay. But you just think, I've got to have some sort of aspiration here to move on. And is it to leave the shop and just go out into the big wide world?
Right. Which
seemed like such a shame because of the work we put in as a team to sort of build it up.
Yeah, you were really invested.
Yeah, very much so.
Without investing, you were at that point really invested in making this shop a success. Yeah. So how did it land then when you said, "Oh, is there any scope for?"
Yeah, it went really well straight away. He was just like, "Yeah, that sounds like it. We'll look into it for you."
Brilliant.
There was a few things that we had to iron out, obviously, like there obviously would be, but
so it landed well.
Yeah, he was quite pleased about it. And we stayed the chap at the time who owned it was a guy called Gareth Long.
Yeah.
And we stayed as business partners all the way through to 2014.
Right.
With me buying just a bit more and a bit more, up to a point. And then there was a few dramas towards the end that enabled me to sort of be the sole director.
Wow. And that happened in 2014.
Yeah, that's
sole
right.
director. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's been like quite a long process.
Yeah, it's pretty much all I've ever done.
Yeah, so in which time you're building up a passion for it, you're getting really good at it, you're building the business up without even having a part in it at one point, and then you gradually start becoming more literally invested in it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's quite a unique journey, I think.
Well, it doesn't feel like it to me because, like I say,
you've lived through it.
I've lived through it, and I've not known anything else.
Yeah.
But I understand obviously from other people's stories.
Yeah,
that it's not the sort of typical way you end up owning a business.
Yeah, and you're obviously passionate about it.
Yeah, I think I'm just a passionate person. Like I'm very, I think my natural competitiveness has led to. So whatever team I've ever been part of, or whatever team I've decided to support. So whether it's me supporting Derby, or running for Derby, or playing in a football team, I've always wanted my team to do really well.
Yeah.
And I think I just as soon as I joined the Derby Runner, it was my team.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to succeed,
to grow and do really well.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So how's it been then since becoming sole director then? And you owning that business. How's that journey been then since 2014?
It's been interesting. There's been, I suppose if you talk to any business owner, there's been lots of different challenges. But we had some really early challenges. So the story behind me becoming sole director is probably a better place to start. So we, in 2012, Gareth had decided that he was getting a little bit, not bored, but he felt like the business was stagnating a little bit. And he was still very much the senior owner at the time.
Yeah.
So he was calling most of the shots. And he, rightly or wrongly, decided it would be a good idea if we expanded and opened a second shop in Nottingham, which, in hindsight, was a little bit rushed, I suppose. And we did open a second shop. Some of our customers will very much remember it. And it was called the Nottingham Runner, not surprisingly. But I think we opened it in totally the wrong location. We had we found a really perfect unit, and it was going to be in West Bridgford. And even now, I think if we'd have managed to get that unit, things might have been very different.
Right.
But that fell through for whatever reason, and then we rushed into opening a shop in Old Basford in Nottingham, which is a very different part of Nottingham.
Right.
The unit itself was perfect in terms of the size and the storage and the car parking and things like that, but just the location within that city was not ideal.
Right.
It was very, very close to a tram stop. It wasn't the same sort of area that West Bridgford is, so there wasn't that sort of affluent customer that would typically want to spend a lot of money on running shoes.
Yeah.
When we looked at the ratings of, because I think you may know from being in a estate agency game that they rate areas of cities like A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do. But it was a similar rating to Spondon, so we sort of decided, well, it couldn't be that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, trade was really slow.
Right.
And that put a lot of stress on Gareth. Gareth sort of took it to heart that we'd made this bad decision. And then in the summer of 2013, the shop was broken into, and a lot of stock got stolen.
Oh my God.
And it was very, very stressful. And then the insurance wouldn't pay out.
That's horrendous.
Yeah, we'd we'd fitted the alarm sensors incorrectly, and Gareth blamed himself for that. And so he got to a point where I remember going on holiday. We were due to go on holiday to Cornwall, and the Friday evening or the Friday afternoon before I was going to go and drive down to Cornwall, Gareth said, "Can we just have a quick word? I want out." But it was as quick as that.
Wow.
I want out. And he said it because we'd been in business a long time together, it wasn't quite as abrupt as this, but it was basically, if you can't buy it, I'll sell it to somebody else because I've had enough. And so the whole of that holiday was just spent thinking, I've got to find...
How the hell am I going to do this? Yeah, I've got to make this work.
To buy Gareth out.
Yeah. Yeah, because the alternative is him selling it to someone else, a stranger, someone you don't know, maybe someone that hasn't had anything to do with the Derby Runner and is just looking for a business. And after everything that you've put into it, that might have felt a bit,
Yeah. So
that was a relaxing holiday for you. And Elaine probably.
Oh yeah, she remembers it fondly. Yeah.
You owe her a holiday. But you made it work.
We made it work. Yeah, we managed to raise the funds for it, for help from some friends, help from family, and so the first few years of owning the Derby Runner was basically a paying off debt. Personally,
yeah, a real sort of uphill.
Yeah, very much
climb.
So. And of course, I'd inherited a business that wasn't doing at the time particularly great because it had this burden of the Nottingham shop.
Yeah.
So the Derby shop was doing fine. The Nottingham shop was like a ball and chain around its neck.
Yeah, just bringing it down.
We had, luckily, I managed to look through the clauses in the contract of the lease at the Nottingham shop. And by the time I'd managed to totally get hold of the business, I had, I think, about 6 weeks to action a release clause, which allowed us to get out. But if I hadn't have done it, we would have been tied in for another 5 years.
Oh my God.
So I had a get out
So it
clause.
was that close to the wire?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we, luckily
you did it.
Went to see a solicitor and talked it through, and he said, this is definitely allowed according to the clauses in the contract. So if that's what you want, go for it. So we did, and managed to get that out the way and concentrate on the Derby shop.
Yeah. I bet that felt like a massive burden had been released from your shoulders. Yeah. And now all of your time, all of your effort, all of your passion and energy can just go into that one place.
Yeah, that very much so, yeah. And so we've sort of been doing pretty much the same thing ever since then in terms of how we try and operate and what we try and offer our customers. It's just become looking sort of, now we've been involved over 10 years down the line since that time.
Yeah.
It's very different now. It's a much bigger operation.
Yeah.
But we've stayed to the same sort of beliefs of offering customers what we think that they should be, what they deserve to get. Really.
Yeah, yeah, and a really good service.
Yeah, it's all that's what we've concentrated on, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow, what a journey.
I know.
That's really interesting. It's a bit like this.
Yeah, yeah. And there's always dramas along the way, isn't there, in business?
Of course.
Yeah, lots of other things that was probably the biggest hiccup at the start. Yeah.
I like the hiccup.
Yeah.
Not at all an understatement. So talk to us a little bit about running then. You've already touched on it. You're a really keen runner. It's obviously a huge part of your life. Yeah. Taking you to some interesting places, like I know you kind of were at that, you said you're at that sort of quite high level.
Yeah.
So how was that experience? How was all that as a young man and being able to compete? And
yeah, I think the competitive part of my life, when I was trying to be a very competitive athlete, sort of formed the values that I've still got now. So I'm quite, and I'll talk to my daughter about this quite a lot as well, and I'm very keen on youngsters being involved in sport. And not necessarily, it doesn't have to be about how good you are, or but it's a very safe environment to lose in when you're in sport. It teaches you about handling winning, but more importantly, it teaches you how to handle not winning. And, you know, even in track and field, there's 8 people on the start line. Only one of them's going to win. So the other 7 have to cope with that.
Yeah.
And I think that helps massively in terms of teaching you perseverance and
resilience. Yeah.
Resilience.
Yeah. Being able to cope with challenges.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And just thinking that just because you haven't done what you quite expected you would do or what you set out to do, it's not the end of the world. You know, you can always go again and adjust your plans.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to look at it, actually. It's like that safe space to...
Yeah, I think, massively. Because it really, I know it can seem like it at the time, like it's hugely important. But the great thing about sport is it doesn't really matter. And I know, you know, if you talk to a Derby County football supporter, and I'm one of them, that they would argue different on a Saturday afternoon.
It really does matter.
It doesn't, you know. There's way more important things in life.
Yeah.
So when it is very much, you've got that buffer, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's not really real.
Yeah.
So it might feel you might be gutted that you've lost, or that you've had to pull up injured, or you know you didn't score a goal because you did something wrong in the match, but. You get on with your life and you go back and you carry on.
That fades and then you go again.
Yeah.
And generally with sport and stuff, especially if it's like a team sport, you're with like-minded people as well, you know.
Yeah.
So like you said, that kind of safe space, you're in it together.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah. So I think my journey in running has given me those values.
Yeah.
And obviously like discipline and, you know, just having structure to your day and having structure to your routine and the importance of that.
Yeah.
But those days came quite early in my life, I suppose. I was quite good, quite young. And then because of, like I explained with the shop and the shop becoming very, very serious. And I suppose for my generation, being a homeowner and a parent and a business owner was very, very young. You know, if I say now to some of the lads and the girls who work for us that I started being an owner of the Derby Runner when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah. Mind-blowing.
So very, very different to a lot of people's experience in their early 20s and late teens.
Yeah.
And so my running journey sort of plateaued, I suppose, from there. And it very, very quickly became more about running for just general health and mental well-being, really.
Yeah, and enjoyment.
The enjoyment of running and the pleasure that people get from just exercising together. And I get, you know, some people it's not for running it. You know, I know I've got a lot of friends who they get that from going to the gym together or you know, playing netball together or anything like that. But that's what it's very much about that for me now.
Yeah. So now it's more of a hobby, part of your routine, something you do to stay healthy, body and mind, and just something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
A bit of a release from work.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Although it's really closely tied, obviously.
Yeah, and it can with running, it can be, and Elaine will say the same thing, it can almost be a bit of a love-hate thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you've got into that lifetime routine of thinking, I need to do a run because I've not run for a bit. And it becomes like a burden some days. You think, I've not been for my run. And you try and explain that to someone who's not really running, I think, well, just don't go there. But you've almost got to do it because that's what you've always done.
And it's part of your routine.
Yeah.
And then when you come back, it's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah.
Everything just seems much more positive when you've done some exercise, I think.
So going back to the Derby Runner then, you have established quite a community of loyal and supportive people within your business. Yeah. There seems to be quite a dedicated following to the Derby Runner. So how have you achieved that, would you say?
I think, again, it starts with when I think back to when I first started working at the shop and I was just part-time and I would train and I would go down the track and I would be, so your typical routine of a track athlete is you do a little warm-up and then you'd stand around in a circle talking but doing your stretches before you do the proper training. And I always remember having a look round at my friends' shoes, and because I'd worked at the shop for a few months thinking, they're not from us. And after a bit that started niggling me. And I suppose, and that comes from my competitiveness, thinking, well, why aren't we why isn't the shop I'm working for managing to want to make these kids buy from us?
Yeah.
And that sort of stayed with me, really. Yeah. I suppose quite quickly in my time at the Derby Runner, I've realised that, well, it's not their job to want to buy from the Derby Runner. It's the Derby Runner's job to make them want to buy from us.
Right.
And so I've always sort of worked on that that's been my, maybe on my notice board or something, the sort of the thing that drives you or the thing that focuses you is what is going to make someone want to buy a pair of shoes from you.
Yeah.
Because ultimately the products that we sell, you can get from other places.
Yeah.
Not many, especially around here.
Yeah.
But you can, especially and now with the internet, of course.
Yeah.
So what is it that makes somebody want to buy from you? And what I've found over my time being the owner of the Derby Runner is choice, good service, a good experience, and then maybe the key one in terms of the community question is showing them that what we do with our success is to give back to the community that supports us.
Yeah.
And that's probably been one of the biggest things in terms of creating that community.
Yeah.
So we sponsor local races, we'll support local young athletes.
Yeah.
All those sort of initiatives, really.
Yeah.
And I think all those things combined have helped.
Yeah. So it's really kind of like nailing the ethos and the values of the Derby Runner, isn't it? It's really kind of embracing those and sticking with like the core of who you are and what you do and what you bring to people.
Yeah.
And obviously then people come to the shop and they are embraced by that, by those, the culture of the Derby Runner. It obviously they get something from it, whether that's expertise, whether that's choice, whether that's really good customer service, or whether that's, oh, I see you do this as well. Oh, right. Okay. So, just by having those like really few core values and things that you want to do really, really well, do you feel like that is what the local community have really kind of bought into and really getting behind?
I think so. I think one of the things that has accelerated it for us was the experience through us getting through lockdown. Oh. So that was massive.
Yeah.
That was a huge fork in the road for us because it could have gone terribly.
Yeah.
Because at the time we would, as a business, we were doing all the other things. We were going out on the road and supporting races. We'd already started our running club, our Monday night running club, and we'd, concentrated on trying to offer as much choice as possible. And of course, our service, which is probably the thing that we've always been known for, the great personal service, that was all happening. But what we didn't have, crucially, was an online presence, really.
Right.
We had a good social media presence for the time. It's much bigger now, but at the time it was fairly strong. But we didn't have a means to sell online. And so it's ingrained in my memory, on the 23rd of March 2020, Boris said, "You've got to close." Elaine and I just thought, that might be it, like literally, because if people can't come into the shop, how are we going to sell any shoes?
Yeah.
How are we going to keep going? And it was during that time probably that the community paid us back more than we thought they would do.
Yeah, and really
us.
got behind you.
Yeah.
Like this, this is an established business. It means so much to all of us.
Yeah.
We really need to step it up to help them through this horrendous time.
Yeah. And
that was feeling so nice.
It's a weird, because we almost remember it fondly.
Yeah.
But I suppose, I know it sounds a bit dramatic, but when you talk to your grandparents and they talk about the war, I know it's, on a totally different level, but they're almost remembering those wartime memories with some fondness.
Well, because for our age group, that is the worst thing that we've ever gone through and experienced. We weren't, alive around the war and stuff like that. So for us, this was, it was global until it was huge. So I understand where that analogy is coming from. It was massive.
Yeah, and it was really heartening for the support that we got and the messages that we got. But what it also allowed us to do was particularly me, give me confidence in being able to say to our customers what I'd always been thinking, is that if you don't shop with us, we're not going to be here for much longer.
Yeah.
And what's wrong with wanting a business to still be here? You know, and I'll use that argument not just with the Derby Runner, but anywhere.
With any small business.
If you want, you know, because we all are a bit disappointed perhaps with how the high street in Derby looks nowadays. But there are certain shops in Derby that are you know, they're worth saving.
Oh yeah.
And if they go, then we can't. If we're not going to go and shop with them, then we can't really moan about it.
No.
So,
well, it's like use it or lose it, isn't it? Which I know is a really simplified way of. It's much bigger and deeper than that, but that is the essence, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if you love somewhere, like show it some love and support it.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of us, and I've had this conversation a couple of times on the pod, but a lot of us, you know, want to try and support local businesses in our own way, you know, because it's important.
Yeah. And you know, every now and again, I'll like to buy myself a nice pair of trousers, and I'll always go to Canopy.
Yeah.
Because, you know, what would Saddlegate be if Canopy wasn't there?
Yeah. And I bet the culture and the ethos that you create at Derby Runner and the experience that your customers have when they come in is probably similar to the experience you have when you go to Canopy.
Yeah.
You feel valued.
Yeah.
You are greeted. You're helped. If they haven't got what you want, they'll try and find it or find an alternative. It's that personalised service that you do not get when you walk into Zara.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a very different experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you mentioned the Run Club. So you've established a running club, the Derby Runner.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about this.
So this is something that we started way before lockdown, and I suppose it came about because we were aware that a lot of our customers already belong to their own running clubs. You know, in the various suburbs in the area that we service, there's running clubs, but we would every now and again, particularly if a brand got involved with a launch of a product, for example, they would say, we're going to bring demo models of that shoe to the shop. Do your customers want to come and run with us in the new shoe to test it out? And it would be actually a bit of a struggle to get enough people, which was, you know, it was always a bit disappointing because the product, there was interest in the product, customers would want to talk about it. But if we said, right, we're going to meet on this time, and we'll test this shoe and we're going to run this far, some would do okay, others wouldn't, and it was very sporadic. And from that was born the idea of, well, why don't we just always have a regular night that we all do run together? And then we've almost got a captive audience for when we do want to do those things.
Yeah.
And again, the other thing was, it was just about giving something back, you know. So we decided from the outset, we're never going to charge for it.
Yeah.
We'll make it free. The coaches that come and help us with the running club will say, well, if you need to update your coaching qualifications, we're funding that.
Wow.
And for the few years up until COVID, it was doing okay. It was almost like a little niche group that would consider themselves like the hardcore Monday night Derby Runner few. Yeah. And a few would come and go. And we would probably get sometimes 20, sometimes 10. And it was like a nice little group.
Yeah.
And if they all happened to turn up on the same night, in reality there was probably about 40 of them, but they would never all appear at the same time.
Yeah.
But obviously we had to have a break for COVID, and it was a long break. I think we didn't really get it started again until late 2021. Right. Because that's when all restrictions had been lifted. Yeah. And we felt confident that it was the right thing to do again. And by that time, the coach that we were using, Matt, he'd moved down south. So we brought in another guy, Phil, who was been a regular customer. He's such a lovely guy. He's really enthusiastic, and he was at the time he was coaching down at Derby Athletics Club because his daughter was training down there. And he said, "Look, hey, I've already got my coaching qualifications. I'm happy to come and help you out." And something just clicked, because I think it was maybe there's a timing, and obviously quite a lot of people had got into their running over COVID, but they fancied a little bit of guidance maybe, and liked running with a group and with a coach helping them out. And it just exploded to the point where we're now, every Monday night, 50 runners is a regular thing.
Really?
We've had over 70 at times. And
do you all run together, or do you break off into abilities, or you all run together?
We run together. So the way that we've always done it is, because we knew that was the challenge from the outset, is if you advertise you're going to go for a run, and you've got somebody who turns up who maybe can run, their comfortable pace is they're going to run 10 minutes for every mile, which is fine. But then you'll get somebody else turns up and they run 7 minutes for every mile. Well, they're not really running together, are they? Because you get a mile down the road, they're already 3 minutes apart. So if you say, well, "Oh, don't worry, we're only going to do 5k," that's still, by the time they finish, they're 10 minutes apart. So you're not. And how do you make sure that all those people are safe and that they're all looked after? It almost becomes impossible. So we decided that actually interval training is more beneficial, because not many people really want to do interval training on their own. They like the idea of having a coach saying, "Right, run fast, run slow, have a rest, do some stretching." And being almost told what to do in a safe environment. And it also helps us keep the mixed abilities together. Because in the winter we will train on a quiet bit of an estate in Spondon, and it's a loop basically, and some reps will go clockwise and then other reps will go anti-clockwise, so everybody's together.
Oh, fantastic.
And then in the summer we're on the playing fields in Spondon, so everybody's together. So I think just that difference, that the fact that we do interval training, and it's under guidance, has been the unique thing.
And it's just built up, and then obviously went crazy at the end of COVID. How fantastic!
And it's been probably one of the shop's biggest asset. Because it helps us spread the word about what we're all about. We have plenty of people come, and me being me, I know all the people who come to the shop and run at our run club, and for the first few weeks they've got shoes on that aren't from the Derby Runner, which is fine, because that's what it's about. It's about getting them to know
who
what
you
the shop's
are
all
and
about,
what you do,
and and on the whole, most of them end up after a year or so. They're suddenly wearing shoes that I think, I remember them being sold here.
Good.
But I'm not. It's not in a sceptical way, but just it helps them be part of our community.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. And like most people like to be part of something.
Yeah, I think so, don't we all?
Most people, I think as humans, we are drawn to being part of something and having that connection with something or someone, whether that's a running club, whether that's nature, whether that's whatever it is. That connection is something really important. And you guys are absolutely doing amazing building that running community. I mean, it's incredible, really.
It's great. I mean, we've even had the last 2 Christmases, we've had run club Christmas parties.
Oh, that's nice.
They've been, big events. It's been great.
I'm just sitting here thinking about this disaster I had when I joined a run club. Well, it wasn't a disaster. That's probably a bit harsh. But I decided many moons ago, a long time ago, I didn't even own a pair of trainers. It was a really, really long time ago that I wanted to try my hand at running. So my friend said, well, don't go and buy any trainers, just borrow mine, see if you like it first, and then you can decide. So I borrowed her trainers, turned out to a local running club, not yours, because it was a long time ago. And they were like, I was like, "Oh, hi, I'm here for the running club. I'm new, I'm a beginner, this, that, and the other." And they were like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll take care of you." And I was like, I haven't ever ran, like ever.
Right.
And they were like, "It's fine. We will all go out together. You'll never be on your own." It was really lovely, actually. But I think because I was so nervous, and just didn't want to ruin anyone else's experience, let anyone else down, or make anyone not fulfill their performance on that night, I just like didn't want to say how much I was struggling.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to like keep stopping. So I ran, and I ran the whole thing, which was, I think I ended up doing about 5 miles. And I was like, I was honestly dying. I cannot explain how bad it was, but I just kept going and kept pushing through because I didn't want to like be a burden or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I got back in the car. I cried my eyes out. I think it was like relief that it was over. It was like the pain of what I'd just done. I'd gone from nothing to like 5 miles or whatever. It was the most like lunatic thing I've ever done, but it was just because I didn't want to like shout out and say, oh, you know, I'm really struggling, I'm gonna have to walk for a bit, or you know, because I didn't want to bring anyone else back.
Well, there's a lot of clubs now though that there's sort of been this explosion of couch to 5k as well, which is a much better way of doing it.
Definitely.
Running clubs run their own couch to 5k programs.
Yes.
And they probably wouldn't even let you do that now.
Yeah.
You know, they'd say, have you done the couch to 5k program? No, I haven't yet. Well,
start there, which let's face it makes sense.
Yeah, it stops all that.
But I got home, I got in the bath, and I was just like, oh my God, I swear to God, I feel like I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But
it's a long
you know,
way, 5 miles when you.
I went back. It didn't.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well
I kept going back for a bit. It was like, you know, something I did. But yeah, but the community spirit around it is something that's really quite special, quite unique.
Yeah.
So I can see how I could see how people are really buying in and built that community up.
Yeah. And I think with again, going back to the fact that it's interval training.
Yeah.
Because you're working that little bit harder, but in a manageable way.
Yeah.
When the final whistle goes and you finished your last rep, everybody feels like they've achieved it together.
Yeah.
So there's really good camaraderie.
Yeah.
There's all this sort of fist pumping and hugging and stuff.
Oh, that's so
great.
nice. I love that. So for anyone that hasn't visited the store then,
Yeah.
where can we find you, number one?
Yeah.
And what could we expect if we walked in for the first time?
So the Derby Runner is actually in a residential part of Spondon. It's on Sandringham Drive, which is really easy to get to off the A52. But we're not the main Spondon turnoff.
Yeah.
So if you go out of Derby towards Nottingham, there's a little sort of insignificant slip road called Stony Lane, which is between the main Spondon turnoff and the main Borrowash turnoff. If you get that turnoff right, Sandringham Drive is second right off there. And one of the, I still believe to this day that the location that we're in is one of the secrets to our success, because there's free parking. We're 2 minutes from junction 25 of the M1.
Wow.
So we get customers from Sheffield, Nottingham,
All over,
Leicester, Loughborough,
yeah.
because of the choice.
That's
that we've
quite
got.
cool, isn't it?
Amazing.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. And we started off, well, not in my day, because the shop opened in 1988. So before my time, the shop was just one unit. There's 6 units on our row of shops. The Derby Runner is now 4 of those 6 units.
Wow.
One of which needs to be a stock room because we've got so much stock now.
Wow.
So yeah, the actual showroom, I suppose, for want of a better phrase, is the shop itself is 3 units of the block.
So over time, has it just got bigger?
As
a unit's come up or whatever.
And if I'm totally honest with you, if we're too big for where we are now, but we daren't move because our location is just such a.
It's everything.
It's absolutely. So, we'll have to think of other ways to.
You'll have to wait for the other couple of units to come up.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so when you come to Derby Runner, what you can expect is staff who are passionate about running, know all about running, but also and crucially understand that everybody's running journey starts at different places. And so one thing that we teach or try and instill in all our team is to understand that for some people, coming to a running shop can be quite an intimidating place because there is still probably an assumption that we're all going to be high-level athletes and every customer that we serve is a marathon runner and super serious about their running, and we will look down our nose at somebody who's doing couch to 5k or who simply wants a comfortable pair of shoes, because we've actually got plenty of customers who don't run at all, but they just like the fact that our shoes are super supportive and super cushioned. But our staff are really good at that. They're very empathetic. Their amount of knowledge on footwear allows them to relate to wherever you're at on your journey. And they all started somewhere as well. So we've got staff that work for us who are in their 60s. We've got kids doing their GCSEs.
Yeah.
We've got everything in the middle as well. You know, people who work for us who are managing family life. So we get it. So it's a friendly place to come. It's a welcoming place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a place where the products are good. The staff know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And we give a good personal service.
There's a lot of expertise by the sounds of it.
That's what we kind of
No
concentrate
matter
on.
who's kind of in the shop, whose day it is to work or whatever, it sounds like there's a lot of expertise.
Yeah.
And again, going back to the culture, the ethos of the place, non-judgmental, you know, we're just here to help you.
Yeah.
You know, we're here to give you a good experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, it to be friendly.
Yeah.
So one of the things I talked to my daughter about, that we talk to the staff about, is just be kind to people. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's just nice to be nice.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
It makes you feel nice.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good if you're nice to somebody.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's part of probably the reason that I fell in love with the shop in the first place, is because when I was taken out of that super competitive environment, I was training down at Derby Athletics Club, which had its place and was great.
Yeah.
But then you'd go and work on a Saturday, and people would come in and they'd be so enjoying their running. They'd be going to an event and they'd be not nervous. They were super looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And it was all about the social side and the personal challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For fun.
For fun.
Yeah, just
for fun
enjoying
and
it.
Yeah, personal development.
Yeah,
Or whatever you
which I
wanna call it.
suppose is when you're competing at a high level, sometimes that might get a little bit lost for some people.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah.
So I think this is probably going to sound like an obvious question, but how important is the right footwear now? If someone is either running already or starting out on a running journey, how important is it?
The easy answer is it's crucial, but it just makes a massive difference. It makes a massive difference to your comfort level when you're running. It makes a massive difference to being able to cope with the forces because ultimately, I think people like to run for various reasons, but one of the biggest drivers is the fact that it gets you fit and it burns calories. But the reason it does that is because your body's having to work very hard.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of force involved. And good footwear helps you cope with those forces, particularly when you are at the start of things. So it's quite there's probably a word for it, and I can't think of it, but the fact that you might not be very experienced is probably the time where you need the most help from your shoes. So we'll quite frequently have customers say, "Oh, I'm not really a big runner, so I don't think I need proper shoes." You probably do.
Yeah.
Or you'd probably find that if you did have proper shoes,
Yeah.
it would make your running journey much easier.
Yeah.
Because it's just about being comfortable.
Yeah.
And also, all the little things that everybody values, like they would last longer. A good shoe lasts longer. Because if you buy a shoe that's not really fit for what you're doing, you will
You'll get through them.
cave them in really quickly. And
Yeah.
they'll become really shoddy really quickly.
Yeah.
And then again, you're going to risk injury and just be uncomfortable.
So it is. It's massively important, isn't it?
It is, and there's such because running's such a big thing now. There's so many different running shoes out there. So the danger now is that you can buy a shoe and think it's a good shoe, and you're right to argue the fact that it's a good shoe. It still might not be right for you because what you've heard Ben on YouTube review hasn't been reviewed with your feet.
Yeah.
It's his feet, and so I think that's why people value coming to the shop, because you get to.
That's the thing. That's like a massive bonus, though, isn't it? Because, like, you know what it's like. You go shopping online. You've got, like, if you put in running shoes, it'll come up with like 1,500 pairs.
Yeah.
And you've got to then trawl through that. It's overwhelming and you don't know where to start. But actually, if you can just come and speak to someone and like, oh, I just run for leisure. I only do, a few K a week. Then you guys are going to be like, well, this is great for you then. These would be brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. And crucially, the most helpful thing that we do and all the staff are trained to do is a service called gait analysis, which basically involves us we've got an in-store treadmill. So we get you on the treadmill and we video your feet.
Oh, wow.
And your legs, basically, from various angles. And then based on what we see, there'll be certain shoes that will suit you more than others.
Oh, wow. Also, it's quite technical then.
Yeah. So that's what I suppose my biomechanics degree comes in useful somewhere. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So there's a lot that go, and again, I think that just shows that, you know, obviously some people have great success, but when you're shopping online, you know, it's that sort of stuff that you can't really measure, isn't it? Like, you're never going to get that.
No, that's right. And the shoes change so quickly as well.
Yeah.
So a shoe that might have suited you a year ago, they'll change it slightly, and it might not suit you anymore. So I think that's where people find our service quite useful.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting. So yeah, super important. So thinking about the business side of things for a minute then, we did touch upon it earlier, but what do you enjoy most about owning the Derby Runner? And what are your challenges at the minute or lately?
So to answer your first bit of the question, what I enjoy most is just being proud of what we've created. With Elaine and I have worked so hard to, and you know, and the staff as well, because we've had some staff members who have been with us all the way through, so them helping us achieve, and it does feel like an achievement, and the fact that we're just still here, you know,
is incredible.
I've always just said that is the goal really. When people say what you're trying to do, I'm just trying to make the shop that I started working at when I was little still be here, and that
keep
obviously
going.
I've got views on what that requires, which, you know, growth and whatnot is involved with that. But the main goal is making sure that we're still here in a world where it's not really set up for small independent businesses anymore. So the fact that we are here, so I enjoy that, the pride in what we're achieving is what I enjoy most. And just we've already touched on the community, being part of that community, and hearing all their stories, and we've just come out of probably our busiest time of year, which leads to the London Marathon,
right?
And it's very, very hectic time of year, crazy in the shop, but one of the best times of year as well, because you get to follow everybody's story in their lead up to, because it's not just London Marathon now. Many of the major marathons that our customers run are around April, May time. So you get to follow their journey as they come in. They might come in for shoes early on, but then towards the end they're just coming in for energy gels, or just need a pair of socks. But you get, how's it going? How's such and such doing, because you were going on a run together, and that's great. But the challenges, I suppose, are the same, because it doesn't matter whether you're selling running shoes or whether you're selling nuts and bolts or cars. The challenges are the same, and that is just, if it's your business, it never goes away. You know, you don't really get a day off, because you might have, in terms of you're not on the rota, you know, you're not in the shop that day, but I'm still at work up here constantly, and especially now there's mobile phones, and I've got Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp,
you're
emails,
accessible all the time.
And even though we have got really helpful members of our team who are assigned to answer those questions, I still see them appear on my phone, and I still see that they've not answered them quite yet. I'm thinking, I need to be so it's I suppose really what I'm getting to is balance. That's the biggest challenge.
So is that something that you are managing and maybe doing really well, or like how do you get,
I think
what do you do for the balance?
Argue, maybe not. It is tough, but we both understand that there's certain situations where balance almost has to go out the window because it becomes a necessity. So this last few weeks has been a perfect example of that. So we asked our senior members of staff early on last year to try and not book holidays in the lead up to the marathon, because, like I was saying to you, that's our busiest time of year.
It's crazy,
So they didn't, which was lovely of them. But what I didn't really take into account was the fact that we employ quite a few really lovely, conscientious, diligent youngsters. But it's exam season, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they now need time off to revise, rightly so. So some of our weekend staff is depleted. But also, I've got team members who said, I've not gone on holiday, but now I want to go on holiday.
Yeah.
And I can't say no to those either. So Elaine and I have worked quite a few weekends in a row.
Yeah. So that it's they're challenges, aren't they?
They are.
It's like you said, you can try with all the will in the world to create balance, but there will be times where that balance is challenged because of the needs of the business.
Yeah.
Which at the end of the day, it's your passion, it's your everything, isn't it? So
yeah, and so that's always the trade-off, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So you also mentioned earlier on that sort of Derby Runner goes on the road as such. So you do sponsor events, you go to events, don't you? Doing a bit of sort of not just sponsorship, but I guess advertising the business, getting the word out there. Yeah. Do you enjoy doing that sort of thing?
I do and I don't. So it's something that we've done. It was probably one of in the early days when I mentioned that when I finished university and I almost went full time.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the things that we changed first.
Right.
So there was myself and another chap called Dave who started working full time at that same time, and we knew straight away that we needed to do what we called outreach at the time.
Yeah, I was almost going to use that word when I was asking the question. Yeah. I was going to say outreach, and then I thought, no, that doesn't. I don't know if that sounds right.
Yeah, I don't even that's a phrase anymore, but that's what we used to call it.
Yeah.
And we managed to convince Gareth at the time to get a little van, which was never big enough, but at least we had a van.
Yeah.
And we would fill it full of shoes. We'd get a little tent that was at the time was a terrible tent. It would bend in the wind. No, it was actually one of those ones where you had to put pole A to pole B.
Oh God!
And you were doing that at cross country races in the winter. But we did that, and we knew it worked straight away. Because you build up trust with your customer base because you get to know them.
Yeah.
Because you're at the race with them. And yes, there might be some shoes on sale and maybe they buy them, maybe they don't. But what they do want to do is you're pretty much the first person that they see when they come over the finish line.
Yeah.
So they want to come and tell you all about their race.
Yeah.
And it is quite interesting, I did this and it went like, I got a PB. And you very quickly get to know your customers.
Yeah.
In various different areas. And so we were doing a lot of that from 2004 all the way through to lockdown. And in fact, probably in the year leading up to lockdown, we did more outdoor events than there were weeks of the year. So some weeks we were doing Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Which was great, and it did work and help us build the community. But again, it was going back to that balance thing. So it was probably one of the things that coming out of COVID, Elaine and I consciously decided we needed to maybe make a few decisions about which ones we should go to.
Yeah.
And which ones probably, not that it wasn't worth it, but just there's better uses for the business's time and resources.
Yeah. And going back to that balance, you can't you can't do them all, can you?
No.
You can't do it all, you know.
I mean, one of the most extreme examples of probably going to events when I shouldn't have is we got invited one Christmas Eve to a Santa run in Chesterfield. So one of our loyal customers said, "Yeah, Rob, we really want to have you involved. This is pre-lockdown. Come to Chesterfield and set up your stall. There's loads of people. They all dress as Santa," and it was a lovely event.
Yeah.
But the van clutch broke in the middle of Chesterfield on the way there.
On Christmas Eve.
On Christmas Eve. We managed to somehow limp the van there and we still did the event. Our daughter was with us. It was freezing cold. And
my God.
I just thought, what on earth am I doing?
On Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, doing an event like crazy. But yes, to answer your question, we still do events.
Yeah.
Just not as many.
Yeah.
But when we do go,
you really enjoy it.
Really
yeah.
like it.
Yeah. But like you said, you just can't be at them all. It's not feasible. So it's about just selecting.
So there's a few events coming up that we've got an inflatable arch, Derby Runner arch.
Yeah.
So and that helps race organisers make it look more of an event.
Yeah.
So we always supply our arch to the Hairy Helmet Relay. I don't know if you're aware of that one in Darley Park. There's an event coming up in June.
Yeah.
That my friend Kane organises.
Yeah.
And we've been involved with that for years. But there's lots of little events that a lot of the local running clubs organise to help their club fundraise. So different runners are doing a race.
Brilliant.
And we'll support them with race numbers So we'll sponsor the race numbers.
Yeah.
We'll give them some prizes.
Oh.
And if they want the arch, they can have the arch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to still be involved.
Yeah. So really, still really involved.
Yeah.
So, Rob, what's next for the Derby Runner then?
I've almost answered it earlier on, so it's just to still be here.
Keep going.
But because the world is ever changing,
Yeah.
there's certain, in order to just simply achieve us still being here, there's had to be changes. So obviously we've had to move with the times. We now do have a website, and that's growing.
Yeah.
That's growing faster than the other part of the business.
Right.
As a whole, the business is still growing because there's so many runners out there, which is great. So in terms of our physical shop, it's just to carry on doing what we do.
Yeah.
And continue offering choice. One thing that's helped us massively in the last few years is the fact that we invested in as much choice as we could afford. And we are now, I'm pretty confident in saying we are now the biggest running shop in the Midlands.
Wow.
And one of the biggest independent running shops in the whole of the UK.
Oh my gosh.
And so that...
What an achievement. What an incredible achievement that is.
Yeah.
Talk about growth. That's some growth, isn't it?
But it's we knew that was what was required in order to, again, just fulfil that goal of still being here.
Yeah.
Because people want choice.
Yeah.
And in order to give choice, we need to have growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it enables us with our suppliers to get certain products that perhaps if we hadn't invested in that range, we wouldn't have been allowed, because that's how it works in our world.
Right.
We're almost like supposed to be the jewel in the crown of the sports trade,
right?
Because we're specialists, but we can't be specialists if we're not getting products that are exclusive.
Yeah.
So, we've been quite lucky in that we've managed to achieve certain criteria that are now enable us to
have that choice.
Quite exciting releases, like product wise. So
wow.
Yeah.
So keeping doing what you're doing.
Keeping doing what we're doing.
Keeping building.
Yeah.
Keeping serving your amazing community.
Yeah.
Keeping going with the run club.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe a bit of balance in there as well.
Yeah, maybe a couple of holidays, or at least days off.
Just a day off. Oh, well, thank you so much for answering all of those questions, Rob. It's been really interesting to get to know more about the Derby Runner, but also hear about that journey, which is actually really quite unique. So, congratulations with it.
Oh, thanks for taking.
And if you haven't been down, go and find out what it's all about. We know now it's friendly, it's welcoming, so go down and check it out. So, Rob, last thing then is the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
So, anything happened recently, professionally, personally, that might fall under the category of good, bad or ugly?
Well, I'm all about staying positive, so I'm not going to do bad or ugly.
Hardly anyone does, you know.
No. Well, that's good. Yeah. I like to spread positivity. So good. The thing that came to mind when I read the question, and I knew you were going to ask me this, is just my daughter's going through her GCSEs, and the way that she's coped with it has just been fantastic.
Oh wow!
And, I've got, again, because of the community that we've got, there's a couple of teachers at her school who are also runners, so I'm in regular contact with them, whether she likes it or not. And one particular customer is her English teacher, and he was letting me know that she wrote, just going into the revision break, she wrote a piece on Macbeth under exam conditions, and got 30 out of 30, and it was printed off and handed out to all the other English teachers to use as a example
as a good
how
practice.
you should answer that type of question.
Oh my word!
And that was just
Oh, that is a really nice one.
It was great to come home from work and have that
and
news.
see. Oh wow,
it was amazing. So that's definitely my good.
And is she coping okay with the stress of it all? Because she's she'll be in the thick of it now. Where are we? Towards the end of May.
Yeah, so she's just
really
getting in towards the first week. She is very, very diligent. Almost got. Elaine and I are both very, perhaps obsessive about things, and we definitely try not to be with her schoolwork. but she's already inherited that
She's
trait.
got it.
Yeah.
She doesn't need you to be because she already
We've
is.
certainly not had to tell her to revise. It's been the opposite. We've
That's
had to tell her, come
lovely.
come out your room, have
Take a break.
go for a walk, go for a run.
So
walk the
she's
dog.
really serious about her studies.
Yeah.
She wants to do well.
She just wants to do as well as she possibly can do, which is lovely.
And it sounds like she really will.
Oh, hopefully. Yeah, fingers crossed.
That's a good one. Thank you. Well, good luck to her.
Thank you.
We'll be thinking of you in August when it's
Yeah.
GCSE results day. It's a big day, that is, you know. It fills me with dread even thinking about it. And then ask me anything. So this is the bit where you get to ask me absolutely anything.
Yeah, so I've spoken a lot about balance in my life. How
Yeah.
do you balance this and your normal job as well?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. So I'm really lucky with my, normal job. I get to work quite flexibly, so I can take it as a dinner hour. I do a lot of evening podcasts, which tend to be quite popular. So when people are working all the time, an evening slot works well for them, or at the weekend. So I just try and squeeze it in, make sure I don't overbook, make sure I'm not doing too many a week, so that I'm creating that balance and just being really mindful about everything else that I've got going on, whether that be stuff I'm doing, kids, work, whatever it is, just really try not to overstretch and take on too much. So I probably only do about 1 or 2 a week.
Okay.
So I can absolutely manage that. But yeah, balance is important.
Absolutely.
I preach a lot about balance, so I need to make sure I'm creating balance myself as well. Good question. Well, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure and so interesting. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it, and thank you for tuning in.
All good?
Oh, good.